Welcome to Shalom World Podcast.
What if a saint could sit across from you and speak?
Hey, Carlo, welcome to the studio.
Hey!
In the studio with Carlo Acutis.
Before we begin, please note, this program is presented with the creative assumption that St. Carlo Acutis is in the podcast studio speaking with us. We journey through the miracles as seen through the eyes of Carlo Acutis, creatively imagining what it might be like if he were here with us in the studio, sharing his life, message, and love for the Eucharist firsthand.
Welcome back to In the Studio with Carlo Acutis. In this series, we explore Eucharistic miracles through the eyes of Saint Carlo, the young saint who dedicated his life to documenting the miracles of the Eucharist. Saint Carlo, welcome.
Hi, I'm thrilled to be back. Today we're focusing on a very special miracle, the Eucharistic Miracle of Siena, Italy.
But before that, I'd like to quickly remind our listeners. In our previous episode, we heard about the miracle of Lanciano, where bread and wine visibly became flesh and blood. If you missed it, you can listen to it on Shalom World Podcast. So Carlo, how does Siena's miracle compare?
The miracle of Siena is quieter, but no less astonishing. For nearly 300 years, the consecrated hosts have remained perfectly intact. This particular miracle reminds us that God's ways aren't always dramatic. They can be quiet, enduring, and still leave us in awe. These hosts have been preserved for centuries, and they teach us a powerful lesson about Christ's faithful presence.
So true. Tell us the story of what happened in Siena.
Okay, so it's the evening of August 14th, 1730, the vigil of the Feast of the Assumption. Churches are filled with celebration and liturgies. In the Basilica of San Francesco in Siena, someone broke in during the night. Not for gold or silver, but for something infinitely more precious. The ciborium holding the consecrated hosts.
They stole the body of Christ?
Sadly, yes. The city was in shock. People realized it wasn't just bread that was taken. It was the living presence of Jesus. Immediately, the whole city prayed, offering reparation. 3 days later, on August 17th, the hosts were found. They had been stuffed into the alms box of another church, Santa Maria in Provenzano, mixed with coins and dirt.
What could have crushed their faith instead became a miracle that still speaks today.
Absolutely. When they were found, the people wept with relief and reverence. What had been desecrated was now shining with grace. When the hosts were returned to the Basilica of San Francesco, the clergy and faithful decided not to consume them, but to preserve them in a reliquary as a perpetual reminder. And here's the thing. Ordinary bread decays in weeks or months. Even consecrated hosts would eventually crumble if left too long. But the Siena hosts didn't.
Wow. So they preserved them, and centuries later they're still intact?
Yes. For years, the people marveled at their incorruptibility. In 1914, the Vatican's Congregation of Rites commissioned a scientific study. Professors and scientists examined the hosts and found them perfectly preserved. White, fresh, no mold, no decay. Chemically, they looked indistinguishable from newly baked hosts.
And they've been re-examined since then, right?
That's right. In 1922, another study confirmed it. In 1950, Pope Pius XII called it a perennial prodigy. And as recently as August 5, 2015, Cardinal Giovanni D'Onofrio re-examined them, affirming their extraordinary preservation. Even today, nearly 300 years later, the hosts remain intact, and there's no natural explanation. No preservatives, no environmental factor, nothing.
That's incredible.
It really is. The science confirms what faith has always known. Jesus' presence in the Eucharist endures beyond human limitations.
So, Carlo, what's the spiritual takeaway from the miracle of Siena?
It's a quiet, enduring reminder of God's faithfulness. Just as these hosts have been preserved from corruption for centuries, Jesus preserves his presence for us across time and space. What began as a desecration became a sign of hope. The Eucharist cannot be destroyed. This miracle challenges indifference and doubt. It reminds us that the Eucharist is the living Christ. And like the hosts, our hearts can be preserved, strengthened, and renewed in him.
So it's also a call to reverence in our daily reception of communion.
Exactly. It's an invitation to let the Eucharist preserve our hearts, to let Christ remain alive in us. Even when we can't see miracles every day, God is faithfully present, unchanging, incorruptible, and eternal.
Carlo, any final message for our listeners today?
Yes. Just as the hosts of Siena remain incorrupt, so too can Christ preserve our faith from decay. Think about how you approach Holy Communion. Recognize that each time you receive, you're receiving the living Christ. Spend time with Him in adoration this week. Share this miracle with someone who struggles to believe. Just like in Siena, Christ remains with us, alive, waiting, and unchanging in the Eucharist.
Thank you, St. Carlo, for walking us through this incredible miracle. If this episode inspired you, listen again, share it with friends, and spend time with Jesus in adoration this week. Until next time, keep your eyes on Jesus.
Shalom World Podcast is now available on all online platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and others.